In this video, I'll be teaching you how to sew. I'll be showing you how to do a running stitch, which is my bottom stitch, and a back stitch, which is the top stitch. And this is what the back is looking like for these stitches. That's my running stitch here and my back stitch right here. And to get started, I will be using my needle threaded, and it is knotted at the end. I have my thimble on my left hand because that's the most comfortable place for me to have it on. I have an adjustable open thimble, and I did not use a thimble for these stitches that I did, and you can see the minimal damage. So when I've sewn full garments, I've suffered the consequences of not using a thimble. So let me show you how to do a running stitch. And one of the things that helps me is I imagine that people do suffer with hand cramp because I looked up some sewing videos, and the way I see most hold their fabric, it made my hand cramp just by looking at it. So I would imagine that they deal with hand cramp, but nobody talks about it, so I'm not sure. I figured I would show how I sew. This is how I hold my fabric between my thumb and my index finger, and I wrap it around my index finger, and then I put tension with my middle finger. So let's put my knot in. Because I have the knot, I'm starting from the back. So I did face some technical difficulties, and therefore I had to restart. And I am starting with my starting stitch, and I have my knot going to the back of the fabric. And now we are starting with the starting stitch. Whatever stitch I'm doing, I always do a starting stitch. For my starting stitch, I bring my needle to the right side of the thread and then bring it back to the same hole that the thread came out of. And then I'm gonna go over it again. That's how I start my stitches always. And now we are ready to start the running stitch. For a running stitch, all you do is make sure your needle only poke forward. So your needle is always gonna go to the left side of the thread that is showing. Always to the left. When you're right-handed, you sew from right to left. And so the needle is always going to move to the left side for a running stitch. And a running stitch is good for basting your pieces together before you start sewing them. Also, it can be used for gathers, to create gathers. It can be any length that you want it to be. The longer it is, the faster you go through your project. But it is a running stitch, so it's not something that you're gonna use to keep your pieces together. It's mainly used for basting. I would imagine sometimes people will use it in areas that are not going to get as much friction. But that is a basting stitch. That is a running stitch. It is for basting. That's what I use it for, or creating gathers. That's what my work is looking like so far. It is not that straight, but when you are sewing, your project is in front of you in the right position, you're able to get a straight line and have your work cleaner. But in my case, with a tripod in front of me, I am only sewing from where I can see. And that is also going a bit slower because of the tripod in front of me. I can't move my fabric too far around my finger, but eventually I will have videos where you get to see me sew full projects. I am now finishing my stitch, knotting my thread, and I'm bringing my thread to the back of the work, and then I'll be cutting it. Alright, so now I'm starting my back stitch. Let's start with the starting stitch. I got my knot to the back again, and I'm starting the starting stitch by having my needle go to the right of the thread. And then I'm gonna bring it into that same hole that the thread is coming out of. And then I'm gonna go over it again, and that's my starting stitch. Alright, so for the back stitch, your needle is always going to get poked to the right side of the fabric. So you're always going to go back to the thread, behind the thread, to the back of the thread, or behind the thread, to the right side of the thread. It is going back. And you bring the needle in front of the thread to the left. Your needle is always going back to the end of the stitch that just finished and coming forward in front of the thread. That's how you do a back stitch. I will make a different video where I show you how to start your stitch without a knot and also focus more on ending your stitches, finishing your stitch. And that's all for now. Until next time, bye!